when it comes to this fight, him and Tio. Now listen, it's really I got questions, man, because even though Tio is not showing who he was against Lomachenko, right? That doesn't mean that guy isn't still there. I think he will still produce that guy, right? And if he does, he's going to pose a lot of problems for Shakur, right? So this fight can be a toss-up. It's in danger of being born if Shakur doesn't pursue the action.
That guy will put anybody to sleep outside the ring, not inside the ring, because he's the most boring fighter in the history of boxing. And they can say whatever the fuck they want, they can hype him up and all that stuff, but I really feel bad for him because there's no way they could put him on pay-per-view. He can't sell a fight.
Everyone thinks they have Shakur Stevenson figured out. You check the comments and it's the same old story. He's boring, he's a runner, or he's scared to engage. The narrative is that Shakur will dance around for 12 rounds, put the audience to sleep, and collect a safe decision. But what if everything we think we know about how he beats a dangerous puncher like Teofimo Lopez is completely wrong? Andre Dirrell, a man who knows a thing or two about elite boxing, just sat down and completely flipped the script. He didn't talk about defense, he didn't talk about running. He revealed a blueprint that is actually terrifying for Teofimo Lopez because it involves Shakur doing the one thing nobody expects him to do. This isn't just about winning a belt, it's about a specific, almost animalistic switch Shakur has to flip to bully the bully.
That power is speed.
Right.
So could it be a situation where people underestimate Shakur's punching power?
Yeah. I think Shakur can punch. You know what I mean? I think he can punch. It's just like I said, speed is power. You know, them guys, muscle-bound guys come in and they tell me, oh, he can punch and all that. Like I just got finished saying, like you just got finished saying, matter of fact, the punch that you don't see knocks him out. And they always say, man, I didn't see that punch coming. That's the one you worry about. You know what I mean? Then you got to look at this. Shakur, he got speed. He got speed. He a technician, man. He know what he doing, man. I can't take nothing away from Tio. Tio's a good fighter too. You know what I mean? He's a good fighter. But I think Shakur is way above him.
Is this going to be the performance that shuts the haters up? Because everybody always talking about who Shakur didn't fight, didn't look good against, and whatnot.
Yeah, but they always say he didn't fight nobody. That's like what Moose said. They were somebody before they fought him, and then once they beat him, or he was supposed to beat him, and all that. So I don't even talk to them people like that no more. I don't even talk. Oh wait, but Moose was supposed to. I ain't got nothing to say to y'all guys, man. Cause y'all double talk, man. You know what I mean? You say one thing and then you say another. You know what I mean? So I think that Shakur do what he's supposed to do.
To understand why this new game plan is so shocking, we first have to look at the landscape of the division. Right now, Gervonta Tank Davis is the face of boxing for a lot of people. He's the guy with the highlight reel knockouts, the superstardom, and the side A treatment. But Dirrell points out something that a lot of casual fans miss. When you actually watch Tank fight, he's not dominating every second of every round. In fact, he's often trailing on the scorecards. Look at the Frank Martin fight. Martin was touching him up, winning rounds and looking comfortable until Tank found that one equalizer. Tank is dangerous because he can end it in a split second, but he is beatable on points if he doesn't land that shot. This is where Shakur Stevenson stands alone. According to Dirrell, Shakur is actually the harder puzzle to solve. It's not about having one punch power, it's about being virtually unbeatable over 12 rounds. You can be winning a fight against Tank and get caught. Against Shakur, you can't even hit him. His defensive responsibility is so high that it's almost impossible to see a path to victory for anyone, including Teofimo. But being unhittable isn't enough to silence the critics. To become a legend, you have to do more than just not lose. You have to dominate. And that brings us to the very real danger staring him in the face.
When it comes to knockouts, Tank is the guy. But when it comes to winning fights, it's hard to see. If it's hard to see somebody losing, it's Shakur at this point. It's hard to see him taking a loss because he has the option to move. Now, Shakur needs to tailor how he moves. But continue to use your footwork. He's going to continue to use the footwork. And having the tutelage that he has, and if Terrence Crawford really retired and he can just give his boxing knowledge alone without having to worry about his next fight to Shakur, then he's going to grow that much more, right? This along with Andre Ward and whatnot. So Shakur is still tailoring his game, right? And it's hard to see him losing, and you really ask yourself how he loses. When it comes to this fight, him and Tio, now listen, it's really I got questions, man, because even though Tio is not showing who he was against Lomachenko, right? That doesn't mean that guy isn't still there. I think he will still produce that guy, right? And if he does, he's going to pose a lot of problems for Shakur, right?
We have to be honest about Teofimo Lopez. He is arguably the most confusing fighter in the sport right now. Sometimes he looks disinterested and sloppy, struggling against guys he should blow out of the water. But then you have the version of Teofimo that showed up against Vasily Lomachenko and Josh Taylor. That version is a monster. Dirrell warns that we cannot bank on the bad Teofimo showing up. The guy who dethroned Lomachenko is still in there, and if he brings that explosive athleticism and power to the ring, he presents a massive problem.
The Lomachenko fight was a big one, to say the least. What was your mindset before and during that fight?
Well, I always knew I could beat him. I always knew it. Everyone else thought that it wasn't going to happen. I had just came off a great win against Richard Comey, who was the IBF lightweight world champion at the time. Won my first world title there at Madison Square Garden in the Mecca, where the New York Knicks play. Shout out to them. And then from that on, 23 came, and I was on my way to fight the #1 pound for pound fighter in the whole world of boxing, Vasily Lomachenko. I was confident. I really was. I knew I could beat him. A guy like him that's so technical from every standpoint, footwork and all this, you got to meet him. So it was a dance. Really, it was. And I'm grateful, though. Became undisputed. Then they disputed my undisputed. Same as like the Olympics, became Team USA's Olympic trials champion and disputed that one. It's just against all odds. It's been that way for me for quite some time.
Teofimo is unique because he can brawl, but he can also box. He's explosive, he counters well, and he thrives on chaos. The biggest fear for boxing fans is that these two styles will cancel each other out. You have Shakur, the master of distance, and Teofimo, who can sometimes be hesitant if he can't find an opening. There's a very real risk of dry spots, long periods where both men are staring at each other, waiting for a mistake. That is the nightmare scenario, a boring tactical chess match that hurts both of their stocks. But Dirrell believes this won't happen, provided Shakur follows the secret plan. And trust me, this plan is the last thing Teofimo wants to deal with.
Would Teofimo knock out Shakur? No. Can Teo adjust to the point where he beats Shakur? Yeah. You don't see how? Shakur hates slick and economic boxers. So does Teo. They both hate what each other are. Shakur looks great against volume punchers. De Los Santos sitting back and not being active, Shakur doesn't look good. That's when they say he's boring. The thing is, Teofimo Lopez is an excellent fighter. He beat Josh Taylor and Lomachenko. How did he beat Lomachenko? By being patient. Y'all sleeping on Teo. And it's at 140. Now, the thing what's wrong with Teo is Teo also looks good as a counter puncher when you are a volume puncher too. Another thing is Teo looks very great when he's dialed in. He fights more athletic than Shakur. Shakur fights far more technically sound, and he's a more gifted fighter skill-wise. I'm leaning towards Shakur, but Teo can win.
Here is the key to the entire fight. Dirrell's advice to Shakur is simple but dangerous. Do not wait. Most boxers love fighting off the back foot. It feels safe. You wait for your opponent to overcommit and then you make them pay. It's been Shakur's bread and butter for years, but for this fight, that strategy is out the window. Dirrell is calling for Shakur to pursue the action. This means walking Teofimo down. It means taking the center of the ring and forcing the fight into Teofimo's chest.
Shakur has to always be looking for ways to get close to him and execute. Keep that boy on his back foot, keep him guessing, and keeping the jab in his face to force action. Force action. So if I can't get you to come toward me, I'm going to get you to punch at least because I'm always be in your face. So he needs to pursue the fight correctly, right, to keep the action going, make it an exciting fight leading up to whoever wins.
Mm-hmm. Well, would you say that because many people have criticized Teo, saying that he can't cut off the ring and chase a boxer,
right?
Would that be ill-advised for Shakur to, I guess, not fight in the style that gave Teo those problems? Because, you know, we've seen Tio, like you said, a great counterpuncher and fights well, and like a Josh Taylor's the pressure fighter.
Yeah.
But if Shakur decides to be a pressure fighter, would that be out of his element, and would that be more dangerous? Or actually, is that something where maybe that's what Shakur like? Is that? I mean, I'm not saying like it's like you know.
Like Andre Ward say, man, you gotta have range, man. You gotta have range, right? So you gotta know what to do in every instance, right? Again, we need the action. We need the action to happen in this fight. We got two actionable fighters, man. One who's really good, a boxer, a full boxer, and we got another one who can brawl and box, right? But if both are hesitant, it's gonna be a scary situation. So if anybody can pursue the action without having to worry about much happening, it's Shakur. So I ain't saying he gonna pursue the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? I think he gonna pursue the right way, but I think he needs to be really efficient in doing so. And then, you know, we'll see, again, an actionable fight. And then whatever happens at the end, happens at the end. But the most important thing is we see a great fight. So I don't see him having a problem pursuing that fight. And I want him to. I want Shakur to show that animalistic side to him, too. That I can fight, too. Because you can still box, essentially, while you're fighting.
Now, this doesn't mean fighting recklessly. We aren't talking about swinging wild haymakers and hoping for the best. We're talking about pressure with caution. Shakur needs to get close, keep a stiff jab right in Teofimo's face, and stay in the pocket. It sounds counterintuitive for a defensive wizard, but it's actually genius. By forcing the action, Shakur takes away Teofimo's time to think. He forces Teofimo to react, to panic, and to throw punches he isn't ready to throw. If Shakur sits back, Teofimo gets comfortable. If Shakur is in his face, breathing down his neck, Teofimo starts to crack. It's about making the takeover king feel like he's the one being taken over.
Of sorts he seems, the more back against the wall it looks like, the more that he's an underdog, the better he performs. And this could be that kind of situation. New York is a tough place, man. They're already gibbering, going back and forth, saying like, you know, he reps Brooklyn, but there's kind of questions about his Brooklyn roots. Can he really rep Brooklyn in the way that he says he can? So he's already getting that heat for that. I don't know. It might be a good thing to kind of to poke the bear in terms of how well Teofimo is going to show up.
Paulies, that's a huge. You're from Brooklyn. That's a big insult to say that you're not really from Brooklyn.
Insult him a little bit.
Insult him a little bit. Insult him.
But I'll tell you what. There's so many thoughts in my head with this situation because Teofimo is at his most dangerous when he's counted out, and this is going to be one of those fights where he's going to be counted out because Shakur is looked at by and large as the guy who can dominate boxing in this generation, right? It's just a matter of him getting the opportunity. I myself have felt that he's the guy who could and should be dominating boxing if he gets the right matchups. But bro, this is one of the rare matchups, if not maybe the only matchup, where I feel like is a big threat here to Shakur. And then it would all come undone because of this reason. Teofimo Lopez, we've seen him at his best, but he typically brings out his best characteristics when he's back against the wall and he's counted out. And he's going to be counted out in this fight. By and large, people are going to side with Shakur in this fight to win the fight because he's the more consistent fighter, he's the more class fighter overall, and he's just so damn good. But Teofimo has a way, when you're so damn good and he knows you're so damn good and everybody feels like you're gonna beat him, there's just something about Teofimo, man. He brings out a different level and somehow supersedes that guy who is that damn good. I've seen it. We've seen it already. I'm not saying anything that anybody else hasn't already seen, okay?
Let's look at history to see why this works. Dirrell brings up the perfect comparison. Floyd Mayweather versus Shane Mosley. Everyone remembers Floyd as a defensive genius, but in that fight, after getting rocked early, Floyd didn't run. He walked Shane Mosley down. He stood right in front of him, high guard, and bullied him. He broke Shane's will by being physically present and aggressive. That is the animalistic side Dirrell wants to see from Shakur.
When Floyd fought Shane Mosley, like where he pushed and all 12 rounds, he felt that Shane couldn't fight on his back, but as well, and can break him mentally a little bit. So maybe Shakur thinks I could maybe bully him. I mean,
yeah, and this is the thing. Once a fighter catches this groove, once a boxer catches this groove, it's gonna be hard to time him, to catch his timing, to get away from shots. Right? When a boxer hits a flow state, he starts to destroy. For instance, Floyd Mayweather or Toro Gotti. So whether Arturo pressed the action, Floyd was lighting them up. Whether Floyd pressed the action, Floyd was lighting them up. You know, it didn't matter in that term. So if anybody has the opportunity to do that, it's Shakur, right? We want to get to that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to see from Shakur, man. I want to see him be able to execute moving forward, right? And the rest will take care of it.
There is a difference between boxing and fighting. Shakur can box with his eyes closed, but can he fight? Can he impose his will on another grown man and break his spirit? If Shakur presses forward efficiently, he breaks Teofimo mentally. It sends a message that says, I'm not scared of your power and I'm going to beat you up on the inside. That is how you turn a competitive fight into a massacre. We've seen flashes of this when Shakur senses weakness, but against Teofimo, it needs to be the strategy from round one. You don't give a puncher time to breathe. You smother his work and make him feel like the ring is shrinking every second. The ultimate goal here is something athletes call the flow state. It's that zone where everything slows down and you can't make a mistake. Dirrell argues that once Shakur finds his rhythm while moving forward, he becomes a nightmare. A defensive fighter who is moving backward is hard to hit, but a defensive fighter who is coming at you is terrifying. It makes the opponent feel helpless. Of course, not everyone agrees. Legends like Roy Jones Jr. have pointed out that Teofimo's explosive power is the great equalizer. If Shakur gets too confident coming forward, he might walk right into something devastating. That's the risk. That's why this fight is so intriguing. There are plenty of narratives out there that other top fighters, like Devin Haney or Tank Davis, are ducking Shakur because he's high risk and low reward. They know how good he is, but the general public still needs convincing. They need to see that dog in him. If Shakur executes this plan, if he walks down the most dangerous puncher in the division and makes it look easy, all the talk of him being boring evaporates overnight. He goes from being a skilled technician to a feared destroyer.
And you already know Shakur Stevenson. You know what he bring into the ring. Defense first. Yep, defense first. You ain't getting nothing. I'm gonna get mine when I get mine and when I want to get mine, but you ain't getting nothing. So look, y'all might perceive this fight as being boring and this and that. This is gonna be one hell of a technical battle that I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see this battle. Oh yeah. Yeah, because what y'all gonna witness is, I'm gonna tell you right now what you're gonna witness. You're gonna witness fundamentals, great fundamentals, versus that explosive stuff. You know what I'm saying? That explosive stuff. So like, let me give you a prime example. Not to this degree, but Tonio Tarver, Roy Jones. Tarver had them fundamentals down. Roy didn't. Had them fundamentals down. Now, I understand what happened. Now, yeah, look, if Teofimo Lopez, he get out of line and he want to run in there that fire and he get his behind caught, just like Norman Jr. got his behind caught, talking about, oh, he can't punch. Oh, he can find himself picking himself off of the canvas too. Yeah, talking about Shakur can't punch. I don't see many guys just running in there on Shakur. But anyways, look, y'all already know what it is. Precision, timing, right? Hitting the dude when he don't see something coming. That's power. Or hitting the dude when he coming in. That's power. Yeah, that's power.
So, is the fight a toss-up? Maybe. If both men stay hesitant, we might get a controversial decision that leaves everyone angry. But Andre Dirrell has laid out the path to greatness. It requires Shakur Stevenson to step out of his comfort zone and into the fire. It requires him to be the bully. If he does that, he doesn't just win. He takes Teofimo's soul and puts the entire lightweight division on notice. The question isn't whether Shakur has the skill. We know he does. The question is, does he have the heart to stand in the pocket and take it to the takeover? We're about to find out. What do you guys think? Does Shakur have it in him to walk Teofimo down, or is he going to stick to the back foot and play it safe? Let me know in the comments below. That's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.